Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning and welcome at our annual press conference here in Cannes to kick in, let's say, the beginning of this show. And let me say that after 2 flourish years for the entire boating business, since 2024 and then in 2025, the Groupe Beneteau is preparing itself for another evolution. As you've seen, we've been evolving ourselves over 140 years. We never accepted that no, we always challenge ourselves, and then we have to continue evolve. We have to continue evolve and adapt for agility for the years to come. So, before entering into the full presentation, I think that we have to be absolutely very loyal to what we just seen in the video. We are here thanks to our 4 cardinal points, our values, the passion, the audacity, the spirit of conquest, and the transmission. Values that are truly embedded into our culture and that will drive the main and the biggest decision that we will have to take in the years to come for the evolution of this market. So, in the keynote of today, what I will focus the first part is around 5 macro trends that we feel, that we measure somehow, that will have an impact over the short and the midterm, and they will have an impact in the main strategic decisions that we will have to take in the years to come. Let's start with the first one. This is quite a consequence of what's happening this year. This has been a super election year, 2024. We had even election in France that we did not expect, not in Italy, somehow, I don't know. But surely we're waiting the American ones. But the most important things to retain is that every time that there is an election year, that there is an election period, the consumer confidence is somehow in a wait-and-see mood. So whatever happens, whatever the market trend is in that specific country, there is a wait-and-see mood. So what we encounter this year is that the magnitude of the election impact all over Europe has certainly created a slowdown. There's one point which is very positive, that usually, again, except Italy, there are not 2 consecutive election years in a row. So this means that the full moon period will generate anyway a new confidence in the consumer feeling, because they might think that they could be impacted by whatever, the economic growth or interest rates, no? So, and talking about interest rates, I think this is a perfect link to the second and probably one of the most important and trivial challenge that we will have to face in our business as well as in many others. The bad equilibrium condition between the offer and the demand has created a rising inflation. A rising inflation that has created higher interest rates and higher prices all over the world and all over each of the different market segments. What we have to take into account is that we have to live with that, because we saw that the macro political sorry, it would not be Cannes if I would not be sick. The macro political decisions that are taken at the bank levels, they are not slowing the interest rate as we wish. We hope and we might see an impact soon, but it's not as we wish. So what we have to think is that we have to live into this new normal in a more inflated situation. This is driving us 2 main things that we have to drive and we have to manage, and we will see how we are already taking actions into this direction. One is to keep on growing by value and up market. This is what we've been doing in the Let's Go Beyond strategy, create more value and so forth. On the other side, we have to recreate the new standards, the new entry level for a new generation of buyers. The greatest challenge that we face is that we are the only multi-specialist in the market. So we cover 3 specific segments, and in each of these segments, we have to cover somehow both of these strategies. So this will be our real challenge. The third point, it's what we call internally smart boating. So if you think about a smart boat of tomorrow, the owner of whatever boat we can mention, 2 years after the delivery, will have a more updated boat than the day he collected it. As simple as our iPhone or Samsung or whatever we have. This is what is going to happen. This is what the AI, what it's the contribution of the digitalization will create in creating an augmented customer experience, a more connected customer experience. And in order to do that, we need to have two enablers. The first one, it is a big data experience, so which means that we need to have a big fleet. And luckily, we are in the right position of having probably one of the biggest fleets of owners floating all around the world. The second point, it's the connectivity. It stands on its own. And more than 2 years ago, you know that we presented here Synapse, which is not just a tool to measure the usability of our boats and then improve our marketing strategy, but it's really the tool that will generate an augmented experience touching several experience points of the customer journey and not just the very beginning. So this is a revolution. It's going to happen, and I think we have the right tools to try to think about it and to try to tackle this new evolution of the market and the market trends. The fourth one, it's sustainability. Let me say that I think in this room, and most probably in this marina, we have to all think about the protection of the environment in which we all live in, which is the ocean or the water, the inland waters. Whatever, everything connected to water, it's key for our ecosystem. So we have to keep on innovating. We have to keep on investing in helium raising, alternative propulsion, new solutions that are really driving us to reduce the commitment that we took here publicly last year to reduce by 30% by 2030 our CO2 emission. But this is something that we have to do collectively, so as a community more than as individual brands. This is the strength that I think we will have to look for in the years to come. And let me say that the last point, it's a more of a democratic approach that will probably shape even more the global strategy. Sorry about that. By 2050, 30% of the population will be 65-year-old and older. At the same time, we know that the new generations, so the younger 25, 35s, they want to have a completely different equilibrium between professional and personal life. And last but not least, we have to measure everything which is happening in the real world about the post-inflation. So it's the middle class staying, or is the middle class eroding somehow on the lower side or on the upper side? These are all the critical questions that we have to ask ourselves in order to decide also where the accessibility point of the usability will be. So these are somehow the 5 macro trends that we measured and we wanted to share with you. Because these are the most challenging points that will have to shape our industry. And like in any house, the first thing that you have to do is how do you prepare and how do you adapt for that? Let me say that our obsession is market proximity. We announced many years ago that the revolution or the evolution of the plan Let's Go Beyond was to be more customer-centric. We developed Synapse and so forth, but the real proximity is when you are the multi-specialist and the only multi-specialist in the world, but at the same time you're able to adapt yourself for the business unit of the day boats, for the business of the real estate on the water, and for the business of the sailings. That's why we have really developed individual business units. Individual business unit is an entity, an autonomous entity from the product definition down to the production and the entire P&L that will allow to focus on the tackles of each specific market. So it's a great pleasure for me to introduce here today the 3 players of this league. Yannick Madiot, who is in charge and is the general manager of the day boat. A nice welcome. Michelangelo Casadei, general manager of the real estate on the water. And Clément Émilie, general manager of the sailing business unit. So, 3 general managers with 3 specific tasks, and I will try to cut short. The first one, it's always improving our customer experience and the branding experience. We have our house of brands. We have brands with specific experience that has to be amplified, augmented in each of the deployment of the business unit, and this is going to be vital. This is going to be the essence of our growth by definition. The second, it's somehow how do we split our brain in two, and we keep on growing on the up-market strategy on one side, so just to make an example, bigger boats for the same range. And on the other side, the right offer. The right offer means what is the new entry level in the market. Is it 80% of the functionality for 80% of the price or whatever? This is exactly the key tackle point that we have to measure. And last but not least, I already talked about it. It's the sustainability and how we have to commit ourselves and commit with our partners and with our colleagues and not competitors in order to measure, in order to approach it in a common way, because it's a common commitment to make sure to protect the environment. So let me conclude by saying that 2025 is surely not going to be as easy as some of the previous year. But we structure ourselves, we prepared ourselves for this position, for this agility and conquer spirit, which has always been one of our values. We did it for 140 years, and we will keep on reshaping ourselves for the most important strategic decisions that we will have to take in the years to come. So it is an honor for me now to let the floor and let the CSO, the Chief Sales Officer of the 3 business units, to present all the novelties and the innovations of these years and the years to come. Thank you very much for your attention.